Hey, you guys. So I wanted to briefly come on here to discuss with you this article concerning the situation involving COVID-19 and Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. And I'm sure by the title of this video, you can already tell that it's more of the same entitled arrogant and white supremacy filled BS that plagues this country, that typical action taken when cavemen don't get their way. And I want to offer you guys a little commentary before I start the article because to me, it sounds as though that a concerted and concentrated effort is being taken to ensure Black lives are placed in danger and not just in the hands of police brutality, but apparently even by means of coming into contact with this virus. And as much as I'm sure everyone would love to go back to the time before requirements and preventative measures were put into place, we need to understand that a virus of this magnitude doesn't just vanish because a few people are impatient and impulsive. And I made a video prior to this one about how Betsy DeVos wants children to return to school despite the CDC guidelines and declaration that it isn't safe due to the highly pervasive rate of infection within this illness. And we also need to state a blatantly obvious fact that southern states are predominantly populated by Black people the most. And in no way is it serendipitous that the most corrupt governors and lawmakers reside within this region of the US. And we also know that the South was heavily rooted in slavery. So this case isn't anything new. It's an effort for white supremacy to exert its power on Black people. And I can assure you that it won't be the last time because we know that cavemen typically are in possession of complaining or whining at the sight of someone not following along with their patriarchal agenda and narrative. I remember sometime back during the intermediate stages of this crisis, Kemp was actually one of the few idiots who was frantic and wanting to reopen Georgia. But if you guys watched my previous video, you remember how I talked about the lousiness, the ineptitude, lack of intelligence that Agent Orange had. Well, Kemp is a Republican and he, of course, supports Trump. So there you go. That common element of being remedial is normal amongst his followers. So let's go ahead and just get into this article. It starts off by saying, Governor Brian Kemp went to court Thursday to block Atlanta from enacting tougher coronavirus restrictions and its mask mandate. The move will set up a legal showdown between the state and local governments over efforts to contain the disease. The state filed a lawsuit challenging Bottom's decision on July 10th to revert to Phase 1 guidelines that push restaurants to close dining rooms and urge residents to leave home only for essential trips. It also challenges the city's new mask requirements. And I want to bring your attention to something. I don't know if any of you remember around the 2018 election, around that time of November-ish, but this was during the time when Stacey Abrams was competing for governor of Georgia, and a weird situation occurred where Black votes were somehow not being registered in the ballot box in the system. And when they located the actual number, there was upwards of over 300,000 votes purged from the system. And this system of oppression, known as voter suppression, disproportionately affected Black people because at your local and state levels concerning voting, your vote does matter at this level. And I even remember them saying on the radio that if you were one of the voters whose machine malfunctioned during the time of input, you had a chance to go and revote because they had extended the deadline for those unallocated votes. And I'm saying all of this to say that Brian Kemp is no stranger to dirty politics, and especially not a stranger to how the system grants him numerous benefits. And he knows how to use it to his advantage. And just like he uses voter suppression, he uses his power to sue Black people in political positions that don't go along with his actions of immorality. Understanding a person's history not only helps you to evaluate that person's character and principles, but it also helps you to see how they make decisions based on their disposition. Plus, on top of all this, it's just a mask. I mean, is it annoying to wear? Yes, but this helps to reduce the spread of germs and bacteria significantly, and people have lost their lives from this virus, but this man has no respect for that. And just like with Betsy DeVos, they're not taking it seriously. And not that I expect them to, but when it comes to Black people, they know exactly what they're doing and they know who's at risk for this virus more. But to continue, it says The lawsuit is on behalf of the Atlanta business owners and their hardworking employees who are struggling to survive during these difficult times. These men and women are doing their very best to put food on the table for their families while local elected officials shutter businesses and undermine economic growth, Kemp said in a statement. Just like sending in the Georgia National Guard to protect those living in our capital city from crime and violence, I refuse to sit back and watch as disastrous policies threaten the lives and livelihoods of our citizens. We will fight to stop these reckless actions and put people over pandemic politics. Now, in the past, I have stated that white politicians are notorious for doing this, but they speak in a sort of codified language, and you have to look at the racial undertone of what's being said in the statement. And just to clarify, one thing right off is that it's Atlanta. Atlanta is a black city, black businesses, entrepreneurs, etc. So when he says these men are doing their very best to put food on the table for their families. This, I would say, is a racial statement, but there could possibly be some classism thrown in along with that because obviously we know not every single white person is wealthy, but he's acknowledging that a certain class is also suffering. Now, keep in mind, his family is probably well taken care of and probably don't have a single thing to worry about. And we can't forget the infamous donations from that last stimulus package that gave black businesses little to nothing while every other business was compensated handsomely. So, this is why I think this statement was coded with racism because the only businesses he could possibly be referring to are the black businesses, which are the ones black people frequent the most. This would be your barbershops, your beauty salons, black owned restaurants. And so, in saying that, he's saying in essence that black people are struggling. Yet, we would be in an even more compromising situation if people are still becoming infected with this virus on a daily basis. And someone goes into one of these establishments, obviously, and infects everybody in there. And I see right through this man. He couldn't be more transparent if he tried. Instead of talking about this BS with the, oh, well, we'll have to fight to stop these reckless actions, you need to stop employing corrupt tactics to gain access to more power, such as voter suppression, because we know Stacey Abrams should have won that, not you. And I'll even go out on the record here and say that while I find voting to be more of a detriment for the sake of black people, I still encourage us to do so. I just think we need to do it in a more efficient manner, such as researching the policies and objectives of these politicians before blindly going out to support someone. So Skipper said more after this, but it was nothing of value or importance. So I'll just skip to what Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms said in response to this. So she said, my belief that the city of Atlanta still has the appropriate standing to mandate masks, Bottoms said at a press conference Thursday, especially as it relates to buildings and places that we own and operate. I am not afraid of the city being sued. The thing is this, I've never seen a group of people be so infuriated and upset at the prospect of wearing a mask, something that is used for the purpose of not only protecting you, but also protecting those around you. And obviously, some of you already know this, but when some people come into contact with COVID-19, they may be asymptomatic and not show signs of illness, but the virus can still be spread. And the fact that it's highly contagious, again, I'm not understanding the difficulty of standing in compliance with the CDC guidelines until we start seeing a decrease in numbers. I want to introduce you all to this amazing new sponsor, Ash Kickin. They are a black-owned health and beauty business that specializes in a multitude of potent and formidable products that will help enrich your skincare regimen. They take their time handcrafting some of the products so you know it's authentic and made with love and care. My personal favorites are the body butter and the African black soap. These both help to keep my skin clear and free of acne, and the best part is their health and beauty products are all natural. They also have hair care products unique and specific to our hair texture. Definitely make sure you guys check that out. The best part is every time I order from them, their shipping is fast and reliable, so make sure you guys check out Ash Kickin at www.ashkickin.com. Follow them on Instagram at ash.kickin. Like their page on Facebook. Make sure to follow them on Twitter at officialashkick and use my code ChrisMoore1 at checkout to get discount on your skincare and health products. Ashkickin.com. But I want to take a moment and show you this picture because I find it interesting that what we are experiencing isn't anything new. In fact, this all should be very familiar if you've done your research in history. What you see here is a depiction of the Moors teaching a group of people the importance of hygienic practices and cleanliness. There are parallels between what we are going through presently and what took place during the Dark or Middle Ages when Europeans didn't engage in proper sanitization and asepticism, which is basically measures taken to to eliminate fungus and bacteria. Due to their inability to do so, it caused the iniquitous Black Death Plague, which caused a substantial amount of deaths amongst the European and Asian continents. And though there may be difference in not every detail is verbatim, the disregard for hygienic practices such as wearing protective coverings and staying indoors to reduce infection are nothing more than repeated mistakes of the past. And these situations repeat themselves because A, I'm convinced that it's a part of some of these people's natures to not do things like shower on a regular basis. And B, they don't care to learn from history because of their degenerate ways and actions that a similar plague has taken place in the form of the coronavirus. All we have to do is just replace coronavirus with the Black Death Plague, and unfortunately, this time, Black people are caught in the midst of it. And I wanted to give you guys that little bit to help you understand that Neanderthals apparently have an aversion to doing the most simplest things, such as maintaining sterility. And we can add wearing masks to that list of simple things. And the thing about it is, I actually admire Keisha Lance Bottoms for her protection of the Black populace in her city. And it's because she has a connection with Black people since she is Black. And that's what we need more of, honestly. And I was hoping that Stacey Abrams would have won that position because to me, Kemp is nothing more than a Trump clone. I don't trust him under any circumstance, and I wouldn't even shake hands with the man. Why don't we adhere to logic anyway? I mean, why would you be mad at someone for trying to enforce an order that would actually help people by staying at home and requiring the use of mandatory masks? The numbers are going up, and it's like, what are you missing, you idiot? Businesses won't be booming if everyone is walking around sick, about to drop because of the contagion level of COVID-19. I'm glad that Keisha Lance Bottoms is standing firm in her stance to not back down. A lot of Black people have been giving in to industry pressures and backing down from challenges, apologizing for telling the truth in situations, which I have no idea why we do that. But Keisha Lance Bottoms is not going to give up in her city. Now, it is unfortunate that she can't overrule an order issued by a governor, but the care that she has for citizens of Atlanta is sincere and genuine. And these are just my thoughts on the situation, but let me know your thoughts on Skipper, aka Trump clone, and Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms' response to protecting her city. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share this video, and I'll talk to you in the next one.